Hi, everybody. Welcome to my kitchen. I'm Kimberly, and I'm glad that you've joined me for another episode of the G-Free Deliciously Cooking Show. So today we're doing a sage turkey slider with cranberry mayo. I've re upped, I guess, the Wildtree recipe a little bit to make it my own. And I'll be showing you as we go through this recipe just what I've done to make it more like a true Rachel sandwich. Now, if you're not familiar with a Rachel sandwich, it is a traditional sandwich, kind of like a Reuben, only using turkey. It's made on rye bread. You use sliced turkey. Traditionally, that turkey would be roasted. You'll use coleslaw or sauerkraut, Swiss cheese, and a Russian dressing. And then you'll grill the bread until the crust or the bread becomes nice and crusty and brown, golden brown, to make similar to a Reuben sandwich. So I wanted to use some of those influences in today's sage turkey slider, um, to make it a little bit more like that. And with everything that's going on in our world today with COVID and smaller groups and getting together, one of the nice things about this recipe is that it allows you to enjoy some of those traditional seasonal flavors in turkey and a sandwich, but just mixed up a little bit. So some of the products that I'm using today are part of the Autumn Fair cooking collection from Wildtree. In this recipe, I'm using some of the Rancher steak rub. And then for our cranberry mayo, we're featuring the spiced cranberry jam. And then part of that Autumn Fair collection also includes the Blazing Buffalo blend and the Ethiopian spice blend. So if you've watched the last couple Wednesday cooking shows, I've used those products in other recipes. If you're going to order and look at ordering the cooking collection, I really would recommend that you add to your basket a bottle of this natural grapeseed oil. It is a high heat oil and wonderful, wonderful for cooking. So unlike a vegetable oil or even an olive oil, it will let you cook without getting all smoky and that because of the high heat ability of this oil. It's wonderful. You can use it in cooking and in baking. We also make flavored grapeseed oils that you could try out. But this natural grapeseed oil is a wonderful staple to have in your pantry. So I'm just going to set these items to the side here. Arrange them all pretty so that you can still see them. And we're going to get going with everything. This is a quick and easy recipe. And the recipe really piqued my interest. Like I said, it has those seasonal flavors, and you're using turkey and sage in this. And then the sandwich that it makes is just the right size for a smaller appetite. Or you could also, like many people, use sliders, and that it's equally fantastic as an appetizer for celebrating touchdowns during the game and that sort of thing. Makes an easy meal. And you also can make these up head and you could keep them warm in a toaster oven or your regular oven. Just cover them with foil, keep them on a very, very low heat, around maybe 110 degrees. I think most ovens go to that, so that you could keep them warm and toasty until you need them. So I'm going to get going here. Let's see. I'm giving these turkey sliders a little bit more of the classic Rachel sandwich influence by using an apple slaw. And I've got this all pre-mixed up here to save a little bit of time. I've just used one Honeycrisp apple, and I sliced that into straw-like pieces. I'm hoping that you can see it there. Just small pieces. And then I've grated one carrot and included with that one green onion that I just diced up. And then I've got a little bit of lemon juice. And I've also done a little bit of the lemon zest. I've used about the juice from one lemon and the zest from one lemon. I've added in a little bit of honey and just a tiny bit of thyme, and then some olive oil and a pinch of kosher salt. And that's all you need. It comes together very, very quickly. For serving on a slider bun, it's nice to use just an ice cream scoop for putting that on there. I've also saved some time today by pre-mixing my turkey, my sage, and my rancher's steak rub for the turkey burgers. So you're just going to take a ground turkey. This is very budget-friendly meal too. I was able to find a Jennie-O ground turkey for about $1.99 at my local store where I shop always. So this will make about 5 sandwiches with a pound of the turkey. I've went ahead, mixed everything together, and then I've just patted these burgers out to be a little bit larger than the bottom bun that I'm using. So I'm going to go ahead and put these all in the pan. I'm going to swish I've added a little of the natural grapeseed oil into the pan. You're going to want a medium heat for this. I find that using some wax paper makes it easy to pick them up. Just turn them over and slide them into the pan. Saves a little bit of time. So we'll get these all in here. Also, the Wildtree recipe calls for using 2 tablespoons of chopped sage. And my fresh sage plant is becoming a little sparse because I've been using a lot of sage in my recipes lately. So in this particular recipe, instead of fresh sage, I have used dried ground sage. So if you're looking to swap out 2 tablespoons of the fresh sage, you're going to want to use about 2 teaspoons of dried ground sage. It's kind of a 1-to-1. So if you've got 1 tablespoon of fresh sage, you're going to use 1 teaspoon of ground dried sage. So I'm just going to let those start doing their cooking magic here on the burner while I continue with everything for this recipe. So I've whipped up, and again, this is super, super simple to do. This is my sauce. It's a cranberry mayo sauce in very pretty color. I'm hoping that you can see that. I've used the cranberry jam, and then I've also used a gluten-free mayonnaise if you need to be gluten-free. Hellman's is my top choice. West of the Rockies, it's Best Foods, and there's a whole story behind all of that too. If you love food history, I've got that story, I believe, in another portion of my website with one of the pasta salad recipes. I talk about the whole mayonnaise and why it's called one thing in one part of the country and another thing in another part of the country. But Hellman's is a wonderful tasting mayonnaise. It's not sweet and it is gluten-free. So I would recommend using that. You're going to want to use just equal parts of the cranberry spice jam with the mayonnaise. The recipe calls for half a cup of each. Of course, if you're making a smaller amount, and that just look at using equal portions of it. And if you have a little bit left over, this will keep really well in your refrigerator too for, I would say, up to a week at least. So you can use it with cheeses. You could to garnish cheeses for an appetizer, or put it on a sandwich, however you would use any other condiment. I'm just going to flip these little burgers as they begin to cook down here. And again, the sage in this recipe is wonderful, and you can smell that turkey cooking. I so wish that there was such a thing as smell-o-vision, because it smells so absolutely delicious when it's cooking. And I've got all of those turned over there. I'll smush them down just a little bitty bit. I'm going to set my cranberry mayo to the side. So I have put together a buttery sauce here that I went ahead and I've just brushed the tops of ciabatta buns. Actually, it's very, very hard to find gluten-free slider buns, but I didn't want something as large as a hamburger bun, and I didn't have the time to make my own this time. So one of my favorite ciabatta buns, they're pretty easy to find. I know you can get them at Walmart and most of my local stores here in the Fond du Lac area of Wisconsin, but Char makes a gluten-free ciabatta. They're soft and pillowy, and they work just perfectly for these slider sandwiches. So I've brushed the tops and bottoms. I just cut the ciabattas in half. These are the bottom halves here, and then these are the top halves of the buns. So I've just laid those so that the bottom and top halves are up on a small baking pan here. And I'm going to pop them in my oven. Kind of toast up and get nice and warm. So the buttery sauce, I've used caraway seeds, some of the Wildtree Absolutely Onion, and the Wildtree Garlic Galore seasonings. Then I've used about a teaspoon of gluten-free Worcestershire sauce and about half a teaspoon of the Wildtree Rancher Steak Rub. I've melted it in about 3 tablespoons of butter, which was plenty to make my sandwiches. And that's all there is to it. So you just kind of brush the tops of those, and there they are, doing their magic, getting all warm and wonderful. So these are cooking down a little bit more. You're going to want to let these cook for a total of about 3 minutes or so per side. The internal temperature, you're going to want to be looking at about 165 degrees. So as these cook down, or before I serve them up, I will be taking their temperature with my handy dandy little digital instant read thermometer here. You can kind of tell if you don't have an instant read thermometer, you can kind of tell because the sliders themselves start to brown a little bit and get a little crispy. I keep kind of turning them over in the pan so that as the juices rise to the top, that everything cooks evenly. And again, I just love the smells coming off of these. So the entire recipe, even with adding in making the apple slaw and adding in, buttering the buns and warming them, is only going to add maybe 5-6 minutes or so to the entire recipe. You're going to be able to bring this whole meal together in less than 35 minutes. And those are doing super well. I'm just going to check the buns here, make sure that they're doing okay. Oh yeah. Leave them in for just a moment more. So to put these together, and I'll show you as I do it in just a moment, but to put these together, as soon as the buns come out, I'm going to spread a layer of the cranberry mayo on them. And then I'm going to, before these sliders come out of the pan, once they're done, I will take their temperature here. And once they're done, I'm going to turn off the heat completely. And I've got some baby Swiss cheese that I'm going to lay over these so that they become nice and melty. I wanted to add the extra layer with the Swiss cheese because it pairs so nicely with the cranberry mayo. If you think of cheese platters, they use cranberry and Swiss cheese many, many times together. So I'm just going to turn this on and pick it up. You're going to want to slide it down through the center there. And we're not quite there yet. So I'm reading about 136 degrees right now. These little instant read thermometers are wonderful. They only cost, I think you can pick up a fairly decent one for about $10. They're available on Amazon. I think we got ours at the local Fleet Farm store. I know that in Michigan they're called Farm and Fleet, but in their grilling departments is where you're going to look for those thermometers. That's a good place. Also, you'll find it in the cooking department. I'm sure you could get it at Walmart. Many places online have it. And these are browning up super pretty super nicely. So I'm thinking just a minute or two more. I'm going to grab my tongs to hold that a little easier as I pick them up. I just don't want anything running away on me. We'll get this nice big fat one here. And turn it on my thermometer. Come on, baby. How hot are you? And we'll try another. See, that's the thing with chicken and turkey. You always want to try to hit that internal temperature of around 165 degrees so that you know that it is food safe. You don't want any of your guests getting sick at all because the meat wasn't done. So everything here is pretty well done. I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. And now I'm going to lay this Swiss cheese over top of each of these little slider patties so that it starts to get melty. And you could also cover your pan if you feel it's necessary with a wide lid. And the garlic and the onion and all of the wonderful smells here are getting wonderful, nice and great. I'll just grab my plate. So again, I've got my ciabatta bun. Put on a nice layer of the cranberry mayo on that. I'm going to add my slider. This one looks great. It's all nice with the melty cheese on top. I'm going to, as you get your apple slaw, you just want to make sure that you're draining it off there a little bit. Stick a nice big bunch up there. Another wonderful dollop of the cranberry mayo on top, because nobody likes a dry sandwich. And then we're going to top it all off with the other upper half of that bun. And here we go for a fantastic, and I want you to see all of the layers here. I'm hoping you can see it as I show you. So there you go. There's a wonderful, wonderful turkey slider that is gluten-free, deliciously irresistible. My cameraman's going to show you a little closer again. So again, it all came together. We pre-prepared our apple slaw and our cranberry mayo, whipped up a little sauce with caraway and seasonings of garlic galore and absolutely onion with a little rancher steak rub and Worcestershire for the buttery sauce to put over our ciabatta buns. When the sliders reached 165 degrees, we topped them just with a slice of baby Swiss cheese so that it was able to get all melty down over those. And then to put it together, we did a nice smear of the cranberry mayo on the bottom half of the ciabatta bun, added our cheese covered slider, a scoop of the apple slaw, another dollop of cranberry mayo, and there you have it. Whether you're making appetizers for celebrating touchdowns with a crowd or looking to satisfy a burger craving with a healthier version, um, uh, this is a great meal for you to try. Again, I love you very much. Thanks for joining me this week for the G-Free Deliciously Cooking Show, and look for the recipe on my website, gfreedeliciously.com. We'll see you later. Take care.